ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive.
It is Tuesday, January 14th. Your drive begins now on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Our text line this hour brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop, 304-396-TALK. That is 304-396-8255. We got a lot to get into today. Of course, the Thundering Herd continuing to get set for James Madison. That's coming up on Thursday. We're going to have that game for you right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930 and on 93.7 The Dog. Looking forward to that. The Herd getting a second chance to get a win in conference play on the road. The first outing didn't go so well, that matchup against Southern Miss. Ever since, I think the Thundering Herd's been on an upward trajectory, so I'm hopeful for that. We're going to find out, of course, coming up on Thursday, so looking forward to that. We got a lot to get into today, as I alluded to. Of course, we've been keeping track of some of the names that have been surfacing about what this team's going to look like, and I'm hoping sooner than later we're going to get a chance to really dive into that. We'll have more of an official announcement soon as far as the signing class, the kids that are coming in of the transfer portal. But we're going to talk about this later on in the show. The FBS coaches have gotten together and unanimously agreed to shorten the transfer portal window to 10 days and do that from January 2nd through the 12th and eliminate the current December and April windows. I'm all for that. Absolutely here for that. I think that would be a lot better. Why do I invest in spring football when a lot of these players are just going to pull up and go, no, I'm good. This wasn't my place. This isn't for me. I don't like it here. And you see so much mobility, and it's truly hurting the game. And I get it. You want to have the opportunity to go to the best situation for yourself. But at the same time, this is killing, maybe not at the very top, but it is killing college football almost at every level. It's killing interest. At least the local interest. Now, of course, we're all going to tune in and watch Notre Dame and Ohio State, right? Obviously, national championship. We're invested. It's the national championship. Some others are really invested in that. For me, it's another game, but I'm going to watch it. College football, strong as ever. It's still fun to watch. I enjoy watching matchups that don't involve the Thundering Herd all the time. So college football, it's not going anywhere, but if you're a program like Marshall, transfer portal is going to kill you, devastated you, already knocked you out of a bowl game. You just didn't have sufficient numbers to go and participate. And there's still that question of what the team might look like. There are opt-outs. There are going to be players that, I'm going to play a half, and then I'm declaring for the NFL draft. Or, I'm not sure I'm going to be here, so I'm going to opt out. There has to be some conversation in the future to not disrupt what the schedule looks like, not disrupt the entirety of the season. And, of course, the counter-argument for a lot of this is, bowls, for some, just don't matter. Now, there were a lot of exciting bowl matchups, and those kids, they were having a great time. We saw a few matchups where the fan bases were ecstatic. They were rushing the field. They're excited. They won a bowl game, and that's great. But for me, for the most part, the only thing that I was truly focused on was college football playoff. That's what matters to me. It's the pursuit of the national championship. Everything else, it's a glorified exhibition game, and the winner gets a trophy. That's what that means to me now. Now I want to see the national championship play out. I'm more interested in those matchups. Will Marshall get to the college football playoff? You never know. But I was excited to watch the college football playoff. I was pulling for a lot of the underdogs. So the transfer portal, of course, has kind of wrecked a lot of what the postseason looks like because your team, not necessarily the Sun Belt champions, were not going to be present at the bowl. Players on that team will be present, but the champs were not going to be there. Now, John Cena and WWE would say the champ is here. The champs weren't going to be there. And so something needs to be addressed. And we'll get into that, what these rule proposals, what this regulation looks like, and the reasoning behind it. And, of course, Marshall comes up in these conversations because it impacted Marshall more so than a lot of programs. And, of course, there are still some that say, hey, look, Marshall could have played. Marshall could have played. I don't think so. I disagree with that. Text line this hour, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Our Clark's Pump and Shop text line is open this hour. Last night, LA Rams, and I don't want to question anything I saw in the NFL, but did Minnesota even show up? The Rams were dominant in that win. It's 27-9. It's not exactly a blowout, but the Rams just dominated the Vikings yesterday in the NFC wildcard game. That game had to be moved to Glendale, Arizona due to the wildfires in Southern California, and our hearts and prayers continue to go out to everyone involved and infected by that. The game itself, though, Matthew Stafford threw 2 touchdown passes. The Rams set an NFL playoff record by sacking Sam Darnold 9 times. I thought Joe Burrow got beat up. Darnold went down and went down a lot. LA led by 10 at the end of the first quarter, controlled the game start to finish. Wasn't the best of the playoff games. Should just get better as we go. We've got the division round coming up. We'll have all those games this weekend right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. And, of course, that means Saturday basketball over on 93.7 The Dog. But looking forward to that. We've got the full slate all the way to the Super Bowl. Your exclusive home of the Super Bowl is ESPN 94.1 and AM 930 and Kindred Communications. Let's get your text in this hour, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. That is our Clark's Pump and Shop text line. Transfer portal. Could a 10-day transfer portal window in January solve some of the problems right now that's impacting college football? Could it prevent another Marshall situation from happening? Will the NCAA be able to push this through? Will this get challenged by student athletes? I've got questions. I'm sure you've got questions as well. We'll talk about it when we continue. And we'll get your text on the Clark's Pump and Shop text line on this edition of The Drive, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Now is the time to add on a new bathroom or remodel your old one with the latest up-to-date bathroom fixtures from Mutual Wholesalers, 710 5th Street, Huntington. Come in today to Mutual Wholesalers' beautiful showroom and see how your new bathroom will look. Check out Acre by Max. Have a new bathroom this year. Mutual Wholesalers, locally owned and operated, 710 5th Street, Huntington. Call 304-525-9118.
Metro Community Federal Credit Union has been serving the Huntington community for 70 years and is proud to announce our newest location in Lavalette is now open. Wayne County residents, you now have access to a modern banking facility, a full range of services, advanced technology, expert financial advice, and even a smart coffee kiosk cafe. Learn more about Metro Community Federal Credit Union online at metrocommunityfcu.com or visit us today on 5th Street Road.
Equal housing lender, member NCUA.
Hey Tri-State, Frank's Place is where friends hang out with friends. Stop on by for happy hour from 4 to 6 p.m. and a lot of daily specials. If you're a sports fan, we have what you want. From the biggest game in professional football, NBA, NCAA basketball, and the NHL. First responders, stop by Frank's Place and check out the specials we have for you. Frank's Place, located at the River Place Plaza, next to Fratelli's. Check us out on Facebook for weekly updates and specials. Frank's Place, your home away from home.
Someone had a birthday.
Yep, 50. Can't believe it.
50 years of wisdom.
Great segue. We have health news, a CDC update.
Pneumococcal vaccination is now recommended for adults 50 or older. Says here, we're over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50.
I don't love those odds.
Same. Look what I found. Pfizer's Prevnar 20 is proven to help protect adults against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease in just 1 dose. And millions have already gotten it.
Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you have a severe allergy to its ingredients. A weakened immune system may lower your response. common side effects include injection site pain and swelling, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138, visit Prevnar20.com, or talk to your doctor or pharmacist.
I'm on Prevnar20.com now, scheduling my appointment.
Good idea. And happy 50th.
Stalwart Insurance is the name for insurance in the tri-state. They are committed to delivering tailored benefit solutions with thoughtful, strategic planning with valuable professional services. Stop by or call Stalwart Insurance for your homeowner's insurance needs. Stalwart Insurance is located right beside Kitty Queen Hardware on Route 10 in Barbersville. Call Stalwart Insurance anytime at 304-552-3883. That's 304-552-3883. Or visit them online at stalwartinsurance.com.
You're listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Our Clark's Pump and Shop text line this hour, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Welcome back. It's The Drive, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Text lines lighten up. Let's get to that. First up, texter says, hey, Paul, it's my understanding that a college football program has 100 or so players, including the walk-ons. And I get that we had 36 in the portal, plus Mike Green getting ready for the draft, and that the too deep was decimated. I also get that the coaching staff had pretty much left. I still believe the Thundering Herd should have ran out on the field against Army. They might have beat us 50-0. Would it have been any worse than what the young Thundering Herd went out to? Personally, I don't think so. Appreciate the text also from the text line. Texter says, Paul, was Marshall's portal situation a wake-up call for FBS royalty? Had Marshall sent a team to the bowl game, would FBS leaders likely have changed the portal timing rules? Some good comments there. Appreciate the text. To answer second text first, I think it was a wake-up call. Here's a Marshall team that could not field the team. And we know there were a lot of kids in the transfer portal. How many were opt-outs as well? How many players had truly not had an opportunity to get much playing time? What did the coaching staff look like? The coaching staff was decimated. The coaching staff out the door for the most part. I will contend it's not a good look to bow out of a bowl game. I wish Marshall would have just not accepted the bowl bid to begin with, but could this be the start of something better for the Thundering Herd? Yeah, I don't want to put this team in any situation where it's not going to be safe. And you lost so many quarterbacks. You lost so many people, offensive line, defensive line, coaches. You're scrambling to put a team together. I just don't think it would have been the smart thing to do if the team was decimated to the point where it was going to be very difficult to put a team out there. You know, did you want to see the Herd go out there, play a bowl game, get blown out 50, 60, somebody get hurt? Those are all possibilities. You know, did Marshall handle it well? Probably not. You know, ultimately, did we get to the right decision? I hope so, because we might have an opportunity now for real change, and Marshall is going to be brought up in that situation a lot more. Hey, look what happened to Marshall. Do we want this to happen again? And so the FBS coaches have gotten together, and it was a unanimous vote, to shorten the transfer portal window to 10 days. Also, that would eliminate the current December and April windows. They want to do this to give players and coaches more focus during bowl preparation. This proposal also includes a December recruiting dead period, which is preventing in-person contact between coaches and prospects. Now, if this is approved by the NCAA, and this is going to be a challenge if it is approved by the NCAA, these changes could take effect as early as the 25-26 season. I think it's a good step. It's absolutely a good step. Craig Bohl, the executive director of the American Football Coaches Association, said these recommendations are intended to allow the focus part and give student athletes an opportunity, still preserve that opportunity to choose the transfer. You can do it and be ready for the traditional spring semester is sort of what he was talking about in this. I like the dead period. If you run a business that is focused on recruiting, you might not. If you live and die by news that's happening, the recruiting, the transfer portal, you might not. There were about 60 FBS coaches that attended the American Football Coaches Association's annual meeting, and there was a lot more participation this year. And this was the big topic. This was the topic. And so here's what it looks like in a nutshell. 10-day transfer portal window. You get from January 2nd to the 12th to enter the portal. This would replace the December and April windows. So, you know what? I didn't like what happened at spring ball. Guess what? I'm out of here. December, I'm good with that as well. If you care about the bowls, you care about these games after the end of the regular season, if this is what you care about, then this helps preserve that a little bit better. There's still going to be opt-outs. There are going to be players that say, look, I'm not doing this. Or I'm getting ready for the NFL. I'm getting ready for the opportunity to do this. And it's also going to, I think, preserve your roster a little bit more because all of a sudden there's not this rush. Like I want to change a venue. I better get out of here now because once the portal opens up, if I'm not there and I'm a quarterback, that was used. That's an example. I'm a quarterback and I want to change a venue here. I better get in that portal now because there's going to be a lot of quarterbacks. So I can't sit and wait around while I'm playing a game here, a meaningless bowl game. This isn't the college football playoffs. This is a bowl game. I'm going to get out of here. So this would change that because you get that dead period, right? Dead period. You don't have in-person contact with recruits, parents. Make it a quiet period. Basically, it would make December just dead. You don't have that contact. Now, we know agents, that's a thing more and more now. There'll be agents here, but you could slow this down a little bit more. And you get to focus on the bowl games, right? You don't have roster attrition. Now, this proposal needs approval from the NCAA's Division I Council. And if this thing gets going, it could be implemented in time for the season. And the Division I Council has made adjustments, recently shortened the transfer portal window from 45 to 30 days for the 24-25 academic year. Now, what is going to be the challenge here is the thing that I'm next concerned about, because there could be some pushback. There could be, look, my client here, and that's where the NCAA always fails. It's in court. That's why we have so much of this happening right now, that the NCAA is sort of this paper tiger. It's because you go to court, NCAA is getting clocked in court. But if you have this period where it's dead in December and you open up the transfer window in January, all of a sudden, the focus might be back more on the games. If you're the college football playoff and you don't have to rush to get into the transfer portal, then you might want to stick around a little bit, see how it goes. At the same time, rosters might not drop off to a level where you just have to pull out of a bowl game. And will Marshall be the only team to pull out if this stays? If this doesn't change, will Marshall be the lone example, or is that going to start to become more of a thing, more of the norm? Look, we don't have enough players. Our team opted out here. Our coach left, and a lot of the players that he recruited went with him. Now, how many opportunities will we see that situation happen? Very rare. We're not going to see that happen too many times where coach wins a championship one day and then the next day on a plane going to the new job. We're not going to see that too many times, I don't think. It's going to happen, but I don't believe that that's going to be the rule. But it did happen. And so a lot of that, of course, was on the fact that the Thundering Herd and Coach Huff publicly, privately, somewhere in between, could not get along, and here we are in this situation. I mean, looking forward, there's some optimism. I have optimism for this football team, but this transfer portal is what is going to completely kill smaller programs. And it's also killing the SEC. The SEC will always be the SEC, but isn't it fun to watch college football when everybody has sort of a level playing field? Isn't it fun? All of a sudden, chance of SEC quiet down a little bit because the Big Ten, those schools can do exactly what the SEC has been doing for the longest time. All of a sudden, you Yeah, the possibility of maybe the ACC could do a little bit of that as well. Maybe do it better than the SEC. Big 12. And, of course, you got Notre Dame sitting there looking pretty because Notre Dame can do whatever it needs to do. Rake in the cash as well because it doesn't answer to a conference, and so it doesn't have to share its revenue. So I think Notre Dame's future is secure if it can manage its name, image, and likeness and everything that goes along with it. But we're going to talk about roster management a lot more. We're going to talk about payroll. I know it's NIL, but it's payroll. And that's another thing that needs to be addressed. The whole idea for name, image, and likeness was not, let me just write you a blank check. Here you go. What's your price? It's fostering true opportunities for student athletes to profit off of their name, image, and likeness. And it wasn't intended, somebody should have thought ahead, it wasn't intended, here's a blank check. 304-396-TALK is our Clark's Pump and Shop text line. 304-396-8255. What do you think? Is this the first step in improving the transfer portal? Will this even pass? Will the NCAA approve this? Will this get challenged in court? Could this be what maybe helps push college athletics back into a direction where you can still have your transfer portal, you can still create opportunities for student athletes to generate revenue and share in the reward, and at the same time not devastate teams? Or at least if you're going to transfer, do it after the season is over, not the regular season when football is over. If your team is still alive, your season's not over. But to make it fair, everybody's got to be limited, so you limit this to January 2nd to 12th. You limit the portal, you can put your name in, and if you're playing in one of those fancy playoff games and you want to put your name in the portal, you can still play. You can focus on being a part of the team. You can focus on the game. You can still transfer. It's not uniform, and I know that's going to cause some headaches. But I honestly, when I saw this proposal today, I thought, okay, maybe something good did come out of Marshall pulling out, because Marshall's going to get cited a lot. And the reasoning behind a rule change like this. 304-396-TALK, or Clark's Pump and Shop text line. More coming up on today's edition of The Drive, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
New year, new you, and a fresh start for your car, too. Let's leave the grime of 2024 behind and roll into 2025 with a spotless shine, thanks to Thoroughbred Express. Our unlimited membership means you can keep your ride sparkling all year long, no matter what winter throws your way. Enjoy premium amenities, top-notch service, and the clean car you deserve. Start your new year off with Thoroughbred Express, where we make clean easy. Visit us today and drive into 2025 in style. Head to thoroughbredexpress.com.
Stalwart Insurance is the name for insurance in the tri-state. They are committed to delivering tailored benefit solutions with thoughtful, strategic planning with valuable professional services. Stop by or call Stalwart Insurance for your homeowner's insurance needs. Stalwart Insurance is located right beside Kitty Queen Hardware on Route 10 in Barbersville. Call Stalwart Insurance anytime at 304-552-3883. That's 304-552-3883. Or visit them online at stalwartinsurance.com.
Giovanni's has great Italian dishes. Spaghetti with meat sauce, lasagna, ravioli, manicotti, all dinners served with hot garlic bread or Italian rolls. Giovanni's, the Italian place to be.
Here's another Kindred Communications Community Chatter. Greater Huntington Park and Recreation District hosting a family game night at St. Cloud Commons on Friday, January 17th at 6 p.m. This fun event will include board games for those of all ages, with Chutes and Ladders, Operation, Trivial Pursuit, Speak Out, Apples to Apples, and much more.
This Kenner Communications Community Chatter brought to you by Super 8 Motel, spacious rooms, spa, indoor pool, free breakfast. Come visit us in Gallipolis, Ohio.
Welcome to Staples, young man.
Tomorrow's my big day.
Big day?
First grade.
Aw, well, Staples has crayons, markers, glue.
I need a laptop.
Oh, yeah, sure. With Staples Hot Deals, you can save up to $300 on select PCs for school.
Wait. The finances are Mom's department.
Right.
I'm looking for performance, like a Core i7 processor.
Boy, first grade has really changed.
Tell me about it.
Save big on tech for school with super low Staples Hot Deals. Right now, get up to $300 off select PCs at Staples. Ends 8/24. This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Follow at Paul Swann on X for Marshall sports updates and more.
Our Clark's Pump and Shop text line this hour, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Welcome back to today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 at AM 930. We've been talking about the transfer portal and how I believe in this new proposal to limit that. Instead of having two opportunities, you get to transfer in January. You get to sign up for your new school plenty of time, and it's after your current obligation is over. You get to fulfill, I don't want to call it a contract, but it looks like one to me if you involve name, image, and likeness being the reason why you're leaving. Or in Marshall's case, you lose a coach. Players have the right to choose if they want to stay or go, and most of those players were loyal to their coach, not the school. And that's another thing. I think that rubs fans a lot in the wrong direction here. Rubs them raw, honestly. Schools are not what you're loyal to. The student athletes, not all of them, but student athletes are loyal to the opportunity, the coach. And it's always been that way for me. I've always known that you come in, it's because of the coach. Not too many kids grow up wanting to play for a school and then end up playing for that school if the opportunity is there. If there's a better opportunity elsewhere. I mean, if you're a Division I prospect in the state of West Virginia, are you necessarily going to go to Marshall or West Virginia? Surprisingly enough, it's a mixed bag right now. But we're seeing a lot of kids come back, and we see a lot of opportunities, I think, that will be created in the future. And the transfer portal, as I've mentioned before, it gives and it takes. And it gives quarterbacks. We haven't really got into this because there are a lot of things out there. There have been a lot of rumors, a lot of speculation, and most of them haven't hit. This one did. Carlos Del Rio Wilson, 4-star recruit, Syracuse transfer, right? And then you have Zion Turner. We talked about Zion, formerly of Jacksonville State, UConn as well. And so you've got your quarterback room. What do you think? Is this where it starts to turn around for the Thundering Herd with your quarterback room? I think, obviously, we're going to see a dynamic offense. We're going to see a quarterback, depending on which one gets the nod, that can run a offense that's going to have a strong running attack as well, but it's going to be a strong air attack. What do you think? Are we going to see Marshall football be fun right out the gate for Coach Gibson? Almost literally had to beg. If you're a fan, you almost were literally begging, hey, this offense, it's not Marshall football. Sure, I want to see Marshall win. If it's a 3-point victory, I'm happy. That's not selling tickets, though. And that's the reality we got to live in these days. It's not just cut and dry. You know what? This team won games and 3 7-point victories here. No. You want to sell tickets. You got to sell tickets. Boring. We want to see some excitement out there. So is this going to do it for you? Do you think that this might be an exciting offense? I know there are a lot of other players that have committed or are coming, and so when it's all put together, we'll have a better idea. But you start with the quarterback because ultimately that's where we're going to see this team take shape, at least on the offensive side. Good defense, good defense. Can't get any more exciting than that. If it's a good defense, it's going to work. But offensively, that's what we're concerned about. Is this team going to get it? And then, of course, you're going to have some wide receivers, obviously. You're going to have some opportunity there for some players to maybe stand out a little bit more, right? Got to have a good running back as well. So you've got some opportunities here for players. And, you know, the kid from McNeese State, Jashawn Barbie, he could be something right there. You've got a couple of good receivers. Xavier Short picked him up out of Appalachian State. Bajan Wright, Valdosta State. He played previously at Arizona and SDSU. You got some local kids coming back as well. But at the end of the day, it's how do we feel about the quarterback position right now? So that's our text line, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop, 304-396-TALK. Do you feel good today, January 14th, about what this team looks like? Not having the complete picture, not having it all put together just yet, but do you feel good right now? Do you like where this team might be going, or do you still have some reservations? So this is sort of my temperature check again today of where we're at right now with Marshall football. Text line one more time, Clark's Pump and Shop, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. And do you feel confident that if you limit the transfer portal, you might be able to keep your team intact a little bit longer, keep it together, and so maybe you have a little bit more progression, a little bit more progress, especially if kids aren't worried about, okay, you know what, maybe I got to get out of here now. I'm not going to do this bowl game here. Could you imagine if Marshall was in the college football playoff? Would all of this went down if Marshall had an outside shot of getting into the college football playoff? Would this have happened? Sure, you win the Sun Belt Championship, and this team was intact for that, and we knew, we heard it. We heard it from Coach. He said it clearly for all of us. Hey, this is going to be, we're talking about a couple weeks ago when the championship game wasn't guaranteed. Yeah, this is going to be the last time that this group of men, this group is going to be together. This is it. This is the only game that's guaranteed to have this group of players. Coach was spelling it out for us. You can just read between the lines. He was spelling it out. And then you got the championship game. So, okay, one more week. Hold this thing together one more time. And then you heard Coach when he went down to went down to Southern Miss and said, he was supposed to be here, a week sooner. 304-396-TALK is our text line, brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop. More coming up on today's edition of The Drive, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Save big money now at Menards. Stand up to life's messes with our great selection of durable and waterproof flooring. Great Lakes vinyl plank flooring is easy to install and is durable, pet-friendly, and waterproof. Plus, it has sound-reducing attached pad for added comfort. Update your spaces with Great Lakes Legends vinyl plank flooring through January 26th for just $2.99 per square foot. Plus, check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com for all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
You've cut back on everything and you're still coming up short at the end of the month. Give your local State Farm agent a call for a free discount double check. They'll show you how something as simple as combining car and home policies can save you hundreds of dollars a year. Being there to help keep more of your money is why your local State Farm agent is here. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
In Huntington, Ray Crabtree, 304-736-8181. In Milton, Russ McRae, 304-743-9318. And in Lavallette, Jason Elkins, 304-529-7555.
Hey, Tri-State. Frank's Place is where friends hang out with friends. Stop on by for happy hour from 4 to 6 p.m. and a lot of daily specials. If you're a sports fan, we have what you want. From the biggest game in professional football, NBA, NCAA basketball, and the NHL. First responders, stop by Frank's Place and check out the specials we have for you. Frank's Place, located at the River Place Plaza, next to Fratelli's. Check us out on Facebook for weekly updates and specials. Frank's Place, your home away from home.
Someone had a birthday.
Yep, 50. Can't believe it.
50 years of wisdom.
Great segue. We have health news, a CDC update.
Pneumococcal vaccination is now recommended for adults 50 or older. Says here, we're over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50.
I don't love those odds.
Same. Look what I found. Pfizer's Prevnar 20 is proven to help protect adults against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease in just 1 dose. And millions have already gotten it.
Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you have a severe allergy to its ingredients. A weakened immune system may lower your response. Common side effects include injection site pain and swelling, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138. Visit Prevnar20.com or talk to your doctor or pharmacist.
I'm on Prevnar20.com now, scheduling my appointment.
Good idea, and happy 50th.
Okay, forest animals, today is a new day. Kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow.
Yes?
Have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. Okay, River.
Dude.
How's the temperature?
It's a refreshing 52 degrees, man. Perfect for a little riverside shoeless relaxation.
Ah, good. Owl, you here? Course. Who's asking? I am. Look, you know the drill. Sleep during the day, scare the kids at night. Perfect. I love my job. Oak tree?
What's up?
Still in the same place I left you last year. That's what I like. Consistency.
Well, it's not like I'm going anywhere for the next couple hundred years.
I know. I love it. Turtle. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. You'd think he would have learned by now to leave the night before our meetings. Okay, Squirrel. Has anybody seen Mr. Squirrel?
The Forest has been preparing just for you. Visit a forest near you today. To learn more about cool things to do in the forest, visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Hey, is that a faucet running?
Nope, that's not a faucet. That's a river rushing through the forest.
It is?
Yeah, forest rivers provide over 100 million people with clean water to drink. The water comes straight from the forest to us. In fact...
What? I can't hear you because of the vacuum.
That's not a vacuum. That's the trees in the forest cleaning up the air we breathe.
How do trees clean the air?
They soak up the dirty air on their leaves, branches, and trunks, which means clean air for us.
Cool. I didn't know that.
Yep, but the forest does more than give us clean air and water. It gives us shade for hot days, birds to listen to, and trees to climb.
Wow, that's awesome. I didn't know how cool the forest could be. Hey, let's go explore some more.
Visit the forest today and enjoy all it does, just for you. To learn more about the forest and find one near you, go to discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Miss an episode? Catch it anytime on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Our Clark's Pump and Shop text line, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Final segment, today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Let's go to the text line. First up, texter says, Paul, I think shortening the transfer portal window is a smart move. We've seen how crazy things can get with players bailing right before bowl games. A more focused window will give teams a chance to actually prepare for their games without losing key players. Also from the text line, texter says, Paul, the December dead period for recruiting could help get rid of some of that chaos. Coaches trying to juggle recruiting during bowl prep has been a mess, so if it's one less thing to worry about, I'm all for it. But we know how the NCAA loves to drag its feet, so I'm not holding my breath until it's actually approved. All right, appreciate that. One more from the text line, 304-396-TALK, brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop. Texter says, I'm not sure how I feel about the dead period in December. I get that coaches need time to focus, but smaller schools like Marshall could really use those final days to make up ground on recruits. It feels like the bigger programs will just get further ahead in the recruiting game. I disagree with that one, actually. Appreciate the text. I think if you level the playing field, it's going to be fine because this is just a situation where the recruiting period interferes with the continuation of the season, and the transfer portal takes away. You win the conference championship. How do you celebrate? Well, the next day your coach is on a plane going to a new school, and your coaching staff follows, and players are heading for the portal. Now, you take one or two of those things away, you still might have coaches leaving. Players can't exit until January. Stick around a little bit more. And maybe you retain some of your coaching staff. Unique situation, and it might not be unique in the future. But I think if you level the playing field, coach is going to leave. Players still have an obligation through the bowl game. Maybe you have a situation where, the transfer portal isn't really going to impact me getting the new job and being able to go out and recruit. So if we take the new job after the bowl game, then keep our team intact, I know, wishful thinking, actually, on my part. 304-396-TALK, our Clark's Pump and Shop text line, 304-396-8255. Back to the text line we go. Texter says, I get the reasoning behind the 10-day portal window, but I'm curious how it'll affect recruiting. With December off limits for coaches, will they still have enough time to lock down players for spring ball? It's a tough balance to strike, especially for programs trying to catch up with the bigger schools. Appreciate the text. Again, I think it's going to even the playing field just a little bit because you're going to have that transfer portal that's going to open up. And you shorten the portal, so players are going to have to say, okay, I'm either in or out. You can't just think about it. I'm in or I'm out. And if you have a better idea of what your roster is going to look like because you've shortened the transfer portal window time, and you get a chance to bring kids in. You're probably going to move as quick as you possibly can to bring kids in, get them enrolled for the new semester. And so you open that up a little bit more. 10 days, I think that's good. You enter the you know if you're getting in the transfer portal. You're not sitting and waking up on January 11th and going, I think I'm going in the transfer portal. When that transfer portal opens, within a day, you're in. You know you're going in. It's plenty of time for programs that are not competing for the national championship to make coaching changes, either the resignation type or the contract ran out type, or we just fired you because you couldn't get us into a bowl game. And so you're going to have that transition period no matter what. It just lessens the blow for programs once the regular season is over and then the bowl games are still going on, and you don't have to go, okay, we have to make this move now because recruiting opens up in a couple of days. Will it temper that? Again, wishful thinking from me, probably. But ultimately, if you slow this thing down, focus on the game. You just won a championship. Okay, focus on the game. You have a bowl game coming up. Fulfill your obligation. There's no pressure now. You can fulfill your obligation. There's no pressure now because the transfer portal's not going to open up until January. You can move in a couple of weeks. I don't think it impacts the transition to have that portal open up in January. Instead, you can focus on the bowl game. The players can focus on the bowl game, knowing that there's not a rush. For players that want to play. Now, if you don't want to play, you're going to opt out. That's not going to stop this. I don't want to play, Coach. I'm opting out. Okay? And how many situations are going to be similar to Marshall where Coach leaves and the majority of the coaching staff leaves, and you have players leaving out of loyalty or whatever reason, and you're down to a bare bones representation of what Marshall football 2024 looked like. You bow out of the bowl game. You immediately go scrambling for the next coach so you can rebuild this thing. Instead, put the brakes on a little bit. The coaches were in total agreement here. I don't know how many coaches, represent Sunbelt schools that were voting here, but with this proposal, the coaches were in agreement. Let's put the brakes on this thing a little bit, and let's focus on the bowl game, and let's not have the chaos. Instead, let's play football, and then if players want to opt out, they can opt out. If players want to transfer, that's fine. You just can't do it until the season is over because the bowl game is extra. The season was over. The season ended, championship game. And then the floodgates opened up. And instead, coaches are offering this compromise. You still get to leave. You still get to make that move if you want to, but we're going to cut this down a little bit. Instead of just having it be a free-for-all, let's have some reason to it. Let's not be disruptive and still give you the opportunity to leave if you want to transfer. And I qualify that by saying if a player wants to leave or they want to sit out, they're going to sit out. This isn't going to change anything. But you might not have a situation where you have to back out of a bowl game because everyone left. Everyone left and left you with nothing. You had players, you had a roster, and we don't know how many people actually said, look, we're going to opt out of this thing. We don't want to do this. We know what the transfer portal looked like. We just don't know what the conversations were as far as how many people actually said, you know what, I think we're good. We're going to opt out. We're not going to participate. This isn't the best situation for us. So it's interesting to see some movement on this. And would this have happened if Marshall would have opted out? If Marshall said, no, we're going, okay, you're not opting out. Would this have come up? Maybe. Possibility? I don't think so. I think Marshall prompted this more so than anything because a team directly impacted by the transfer portal and the coach departing shined a light on what this transfer portal really does at the end of the season. And so maybe some sanity will return. I don't know. We're out of time. I appreciate it. Thanks for everyone that checked in. Don't forget, if you want more of the same, you can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Paul Swann. Also, if you missed anything today or you just want to go back and catch a previous episode, you can do so. Available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And, of course, you can listen on the web. Just head over to our website, WRVC.com. I'll be back with you tomorrow here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Until then, have a great night, everyone.
Broadcasting from the Dave & Buster's studios. Eat, drink, play, and watch at Dave & Buster's in the Huntington Mall. ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. WRBC, W231BS Huntington.